introduction of the New Works Festival, sponsored in part by the Furman Humanities Center. At this time, we ask that you please silence all cell phones. Please refrain from the use of photography and audio or visual recording at any time during the production. In the event of an emergency, please remain calm and listen for instructions from our house staff. In order to ensure performer and patron safety, audience members are asked to wear masks or face coverings at all times during the performance, intermission, and talkback. Please take a moment of reflection to acknowledge the ancestral land of the Cherokee people on which Furman University sits. It is with gratitude that we honor the land and the people who have stewarded it through many generations, and we challenge you to learn from their wisdom. Thank you for joining us. And now, the Student, Faculty, Alumni, and Guest Artist New Works Festival.
In this temporary world, I tired out my tongue. Empty conversations with the enemy's eye. Which way you go, but onward, soldier, no relief inside. So like a storm, I'm moving forward like an eagle in flight. Save me from myself. Release me from my own hell. Save me from myself. Release me from my own frustrated with confusion, I play a day all night. Well, out from the morning of rolling, can I continue this fight? But where can I go? But onward I know, your relief inside. Like a storm, I'm moving forward like an eagle in flight. Why don't you save me from myself? Oh, please release me from my own hell. Why don't you save me from myself? Oh, please release me from my own hell. Onward, keep on, soldier. Onward, keep on, soldier. Onward, keep on, soldier. Keep moving. 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 Onward, keep on, soldier. Keep. Why don't you say? Onward, keep on, soldier. Keep moving. Onward, keep on, soldier. Keep. Why don't you say? Onward, keep on, soldier. Onward, keep on, soldier. Why don't you say?
Virginia Wayt, Peach Blossoms. Act 1, Scene 1. Roses of all colors, some open and some not open, line the edges of the stage.
Nobody knows how the roses came or how the Burgesses came to be their keepers. All the townspeople knew was that when they were born, a stem appeared in the garden, and when you died, so did it. The job of the Burgess family was to monitor the roses. They took extensive notes on where and when stalks emerged. They marked each rose by their name of the newborn baby in their records, but only the Burgesses were allowed to know whose rose was where. The roses grew much slower than normal roses and wouldn't bloom for a great many years, completely ignoring the normal growing seasons. They wouldn't wilt or falter in the harsh winter months, and they wouldn't bloom in the spring, until, that is, you met the person you were going to fall in love with. Then, at that precise moment, your and your lover's blossoms would both open. To make it easier to determine exact pairings, children were all isolated from one another so as to avoid large groups encountering potential partners at one time. Instead, they were all formally introduced at a Rose Day ceremony the last day of spring after they turned 16.
Today! Oh, are you ready? Oh, Janine, dear, are you seriously reading at a time like this?
It's my favorite book.
Right. The Thief Prince?
No, The Stolen Prince. He's caring and funny, and he always jumps in right at the last second to save the princess. And at the end of the book, he opens an orphanage for all the children of the realm. I can just picture him.
The rose ceremony is a day for creating stories, not for reading someone else's. I can't believe that I have a daughter old enough to be blossoming at the rose ceremony. Your father and I blossomed early, you know.
Yes, Mother. You tell me that every year on Rose Ceremony Day. You say, June, don't you know that I never made it to my rose ceremony because your father had the nerve to meet me 1 month before ours?
But now it's you. Can you believe it? Today, your rose will blossom, and then we'll know who my little girl is destined to fall in love with. I hope he's handsome.
I'm sure he will be very handsome, to me at least. Even if other people disagree, I'll love him no matter what.
That's a very good mentality, dear. I've seen many little girls, but you're that age. I shouldn't say that then, should I? I've seen plenty of young women sob their eyes out in the back corners of the garden because their rose blossomed when they met someone they thought was unattractive. And now they're happy as can be with a loving husband and a baby on their hip.
I'm not worried about that.
Well, that's good, dear, but it's also completely normal to be a little nervous on the day.
Well, I've been dreaming about this ever since I was little. Every year I watch girls come in their white dresses and they leave hand in hand with the man that they're going to marry. And I watch people fall in love every single year. And now it's finally my turn. Today's the day I finally get to meet him, my stolen prince. It'll be better than any storybook I've ever read.
Well, Cinderella, shouldn't you be off getting ready? The other girls will be arriving soon.
I still have some last-minute checks to finish up. I don't get the day off just because it's my rose ceremony.
How many early blossom pairings were there this year?
Only 2 couplings, plot 136 and 224, and plot 84 with plot 116. Seems like parents have been much better this season about keeping their children away from each other.
That's a shock. I would have thought at least 4 or 5 of our parents would have done something radical to meet their matches, especially knowing some of their parents. Oh, here, darling, I have your ribbon.
Mary pulls a pink ribbon out of her pocket and ties it around her daughter's wrist.
Now you'll be able to identify our children, I mean young men and young women, who are coming here for the rose ceremony. You've still got a little bit of time before anyone arrives, but there it is anyways. Speaking of, I just remembered that your father wanted to give you something before everyone arrived. He's in his office.
Well, I have to stop by there anyway to drop off my note sheet, so I'll head that way now then. Love you, Mom.
I love you too, sweet girl.
End of scene. Scene 2. Harlan's office. On the wall is a large corkboard with a map attached to it. Each plot has a pin in it, either green, yellow, or black. Some of the green pins are also pinning down a little pink ribbon. June is now wearing a white dress.
Dad, I have my note sheet from this morning.
There she is, my beautiful daughter. You can set that down. I won't get to it for a bit. Gosh, Peach, you look so grown up. How did that happen?
Well, I guess putting a book on my head didn't stop me from growing after all.
I guess not. Is that...
Mom's dress. She figured someone ought to wear it since, you know, she didn't get to go to her rose ceremony.
Oh, yes, my fault. Did she ever tell you how we met? See, my mother and your grandmother, who I wish you would have been able to meet, She loved birds. She would watch them every morning, drinking tea and listening to their twittering high in the trees. Bird feeders littered the patio. We were low on birds on my mom's birthday, which happens to be in the middle of migration season, and she asked me to make a run to go to the store to get more seed. But my dad suggested I go, of course. When he went to give me the money to pay for it, he gave me way more than I needed for bird seed. He said, pick up a little cake or something, would you, kid? He winked at me. And some peonies. Why peonies?
Because roses are sacred.
Exactly. So I went down to town to get my bike, and as I went to the general store, I saw this beautiful girl behind the counter. She was reading something, her hair gently falling down her shoulder and brushing the counter she was leaning on. I walked in, and she straightened up and looked at me. She said, how can I help you? Ugh, she could have told me to go to hell, and I would have thanked her for it. She still could. So flustered, I tried to ask for peonies, but ended up leaving with lilies instead, and a little carrot cake, and a pack of shortbread cookies. She could have sold me anything. I came home without a penny in my pocket and a smile on my face, and I knew. And my dad checked my rose, and no surprise there, it had blossomed. So we went on our first date the next day, and the rest is history.
Why hasn't anyone told me that story before?
Well, I suppose your mother probably has a bit of a different version of that day in her head. Besides, I think she does resent me a little bit for making it so she couldn't go to her rose ceremony or on the official courtship dates with all her friends at the same time.
Mom said you had something for me.
Ah, yes. Okay, here. Now, you be careful with that. It's a family piece.
A rose necklace?
It was my mother's. No better time for it, huh?
Can I put it on?
Of course. You know, it was on the day of my rose ceremony, the one that I missed, that my parents decided to let me really start learning about the roses. I've had you doing simple things so far, like checking each plot for blossoms, but now that you're old enough for your own rose to blossom yourself, I suppose, you can be included in the more confidential side of the family business. Would you like that?
I would love that, Dad.
That's my peach. Then, we can really get started with your garden education. But, remember, everything that you've learned here is a secret of the Burgess family, specifically your mother and me. And now you. Nobody else is allowed to know about the location of specific roses and their condition, because we don't know what would happen if someone went to jam in to sabotage the rose of their enemy. Now, what's this?
It's a map of the rose plots.
Which are organized by?
Family, through the mother's lineage.
And when do you get assigned your rose plot number?
The day you're born, and the stalk emerges next to your mother's in the garden.
That's right. And these pins, what are they here for? What do they do?
They indicate status on the individual roses.
Rightio. But do you know what they mean? Well, a green pin indicates that the rose, and thus the individual, is healthy. Yellow pin indicates illness, and black.
He pauses, he replaces one yellow ribbon, or one yellow pin, with a black.
Indicates that the flower is dying.
So the person is dying?
Yes, unfortunately.
The person whose pin you just replaced in plot 74, do you know how much time they have left?
About a month. I checked on hers this morning. Well, you'll learn all about the name soon, but plot 74 is Sage Thompson. She's been sick for some time, but I was really hoping that she pulled through. Her poor boys.
How do you know it'll be a month?
Oh, when you've been looking after these roses as long as I have, you tend to pick up on these sorts of nuances. You'll organize them one day. You'll have to take care of them after I'm gone, you know.
That sounds so complicated, like a lot of difficult work.
It's an easy job, really, Peach. I'm a gardener of people. I'll teach you.
Do you tell people that their loved ones are dying?
Well, no. We tend here to focus on the more happier parts of tending to them. The blossoming. Speaking of, do you know what the little pink and blue ribbons indicate? Unblossomed roses. That's why we have you wear them on your wrists on your rose ceremony day.
He points to one green pin that has a ribbon.
Yours is right there. Plot 6.
The phone rings.
Well, that's probably the doctor. He wanted me to update him on Miss Thompson's condition, but enjoy this day, Peach. Summer will be here soon enough. Courting season.
June looks closely at her pin. She takes it and the ribbon off the pin board. Tom enters, wearing a blue ribbon on his wrist. They both intentionally avoid eye contact.
Oh, sorry. I was looking for Mr. Burgess.
He just left to take a phone call. I'm sorry, but you're not allowed to be in here. It's a private office.
I'm sorry. I'm here for the,
The rose ceremony? I know.
Yes. And, well, I was hoping I could talk to Mr. Burgess before the ceremony.
What's your name?
Tom Densmore.
Well, Tom, I'll let him know you're here, but if you could please leave.
Of course. Are you worried about today?
I'm more excited than nervous, but it's normal to be a little nervous.
I didn't say no. Do you know how the roses work?
My family's been tending them for generations, so.
Do we choose the people we love? Do we choose or do they choose?
What do you mean?
I mean, do we really fall in love at first sight? At first glance, do we already know we're going to love them and the roses respond? Or do the roses independently decide to matchmake two people and we all just assume that means they're destined to be together? Is it just chance?
I don't know what you're asking.
I'm asking, have they ever been wrong?
Never.
Beach.
I bumped the board on accident and the pin fell, sorry. There's a boy in the hall who wants to talk to you. His name's Tom. He may have run off. No.
End of scene. Scene 3.
Sweetheart, look, guests are arriving. Do you want to go say hi?
I don't know if I can.
Nonsense. I'm in charge of all the young ladies on this estate, and I will make sure that no daughter of mine is going to be antisocial on the day of her rose ceremony. Come here. This is my daughter, June. June. This is Anna. Forrest, was it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then. Have fun.
That's your mom?
Sorry about her.
No, she seemed really nice. She gave me cookies. What are they? Shortbread? Kind of lavendery?
My Nana's recipe.
They're really good. So, are you nervous to find out who your match is going to be?
Maybe a little.
What does your dream boyfriend look like when you imagine him?
What's the point of imagining? You're about to find out exactly what he looks like.
Yeah, but you gotta have a dream, right? When you read fairy tales, what do you imagine Prince Charming is like? I only see him as tall, lean, dark brown hair, dreamy eyes, maybe some muscle definition.
I guess I see him as kind, having a really nice smile, one that crinkles up his eyes when he's laughing. And he's taller than me, but just enough so that my head fits in his shoulder comfortably. And he makes me laugh, and he does selfless things, like open an orphanage in honor of his adopted father.
Okay, but what's he look like? Like, what kind of hair does he have?
Long hair? Kind of wavy?
Like a sailor?
I guess so. A prince with long hair? Don't see many of those. But he's not just a prince, he's a person too. And some people have hair like that.
I thought it sounded nice, June. It's just funny, not what I expected.
I don't think it's fair of us to be talking like this when we know the guys we're going to marry are on the other side of the garden right now.
Certainly no sailors on leave. I'm joking. I'm joking. I just hope mine's not ugly.
How can you be joking around at a time like this?
Gotta keep it light, right? To keep from being overwhelmed with what's to come.
You're feeling overwhelmed about the ceremony?
What? No. I'm feeling worried about what comes after. The courtship date, you know, when your boyfriend gets in the quiet corner of the rose garden all to yourselves to get to know each other better. Come on, do I have to spell it all out for you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Kissing, touching. I have twin older brothers, and a year before their ceremony, that's all they used to talk about. How excited they were to have girlfriends so they could touch her.
Touch her where?
Seriously? You don't know? Like, places you only see when you bathe.
People do that?
Apparently, and they want you to touch them too.
Really gross looking? He wouldn't be like really gross looking, would he?
Could be. Have you ever seen a guy walk out of here without a match before? Somebody's got to marry the ugly guys and the boring guys. As far as you know, on the other side of the garden, there is a 16-year-old hunchback with one eye who only speaks in grunts, waiting to drool all over an economics textbook with you. And you have to touch him. Every day for the rest of your life.
Really? Do we have to do that?
Sure seems like it. According to my brothers, everybody does it, and they do it all the time.
Everybody does it? All the time?
That's what marriage is like, apparently.
It's super weird because I thought that marriage was just about like loving someone, but more than that, like I thought marriage was about like having a good friend, someone who would, you know, be there for you when life gets hard, someone who would help you out if you needed to like rob a bank or marry a body. But if it's like what you said it is and not like what I said it is, then I don't know if I want to do that anymore. I can't do that. I just want to. I'm sorry. I have to go.
End of scene. Scene 4. Will enters the stage and looks around until he finds a group of rosebuds together.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 buds plus 2 blossoms. 1 for Mom and 1 for Danny. So much for a big secret. There's only one family in town with 7 kids under 16. Wow. You're a big one. Does that mean, are you mine? You'll look like Danny soon, I guess. I don't know if I'm ready for that. In fact, I know I'm not ready to grow up. My dad used to say, that a boy has 3 things to figure out when he becomes a man. What he's going to do, where he's going to live, and who he's going to marry. I'm going to work at the factory, like my dad, and Danny, and every other man in my family. I'm going to live in the same house as my siblings until they're all old enough to take care of themselves, which, well, won't be for a long time. See, once you open up, decide that one last thing, I'll officially be an adult, which means I can't make any stupid kid mistakes anymore, and I really haven't had the time to make any yet, so don't feel like you have to rush, okay? Take your time.
Please tell me you're trying to find a secret escape route out of this garden.
I might be. I mean, could be if that's what you're doing.
Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Will. Wow, your shirt is bright white.
Must have used a brightener. So, Will, why are you running away today?
You must not be having fun at the party either.
No party can compare to fumbling around in a change of rose garden, could it? It's just nerve-wracking being around so many people. The cookies were pretty good, though. Lavender short.
Sounds like a dream.
They were. Oh, here. I stuffed my pockets full of them in case I decide to make a run for it.
Thanks. So, what's with the Great Escape?
Oh, just trying to shirk responsibility, disappointing parents. Standard stuff.
They'd be disappointed if you didn't go to your rose ceremony?
They expect me to get married and take more responsibility in the family business, like, as soon as possible. I'm glad the laws say we can't get married until at least 2 years of courting, otherwise I'm convinced they'd have me walking down the aisle next week.
They do that to you?
Well, the way they see it, if the roses are right and you're going to be in love with the person forever, then why postpone the inevitable?
Maybe because you're not ready for it.
I don't know. I'm kind of glad about having the ceremony, though. If it weren't for the roses, my parents probably would have set me up with somebody like June Burgess, just because her family has similar status to mine. At least now I have a chance at being with someone that I want to be with, instead of just being set up for the sake of money or legacy.
Well, you still might end up with June Burgess.
Only if that's what the flowers tell me.
Won't you know? Isn't that the whole point, that you'll feel something for the person? Butterflies in the stomach, heart racing, something?
Those are all the same symptoms of worry. Like, worried you're making the wrong choice. Terrified that it might not work out. That doesn't mean love. Do you believe it? All the stuff about the roses.
Why wouldn't I?
I don't know. But they're supposed to find your true love, right? I mean, what's that supposed to even look like? Nobody tells you.
People in love are happy. Very happy. I've seen it. My older brother just had his rose ceremony last year.
But you can't be that happy forever, can you? If you had Christmas every day, it'd be exciting for a little while, sure, but eventually you get bored with it. Maybe even start to resent the fact that the presents keep showing up when you made every effort to keep the fat man from coming down the chimney.
Isn't the goal happily ever after?
Maybe, but for my parents, happily ever after didn't mean happy. They're more business partners than parents. Don't get me wrong, they're good at what they do, but they're no good together. And they've been in love a long time.
What do they do?
They yell at each other a lot, mostly at night over bills when they think my sister and I can't hear.
I meant, what do they do for work?
Oh! That's embarrassing. Molasses. They run a molasses refinery. Only one in the region, actually.
Your parents run Gold Star Molasses?
Yeah, but they're no fun parties. So I'm trying not to become them. Trying. What do your parents do?
My dad used to work in the textile factory, but, well, he died recently.
No, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Apparently factory accidents happen all the time. Mr. Campbell, who owns the factory, offered the three oldest boys in my family jobs as a way of saying sorry. But my mom, she's sick, and she can't take care of my youngest siblings anymore. So we agreed that, well, that Danny, the oldest, would work there right now, and that my next youngest brother and I would stay at home until after our rose ceremonies.
So you're going to work at the same factory that killed your dad? Well, you can't.
I don't really have a choice. There's 8 kids at home right now and not a lot of food. When Danny gets married, he's going to have to provide for his wife too. So I should have been working already.
But we're not allowed to start working full-time until after the rose ceremony.
Lucky for me, Mr. Campbell thinks that his courtship summer was the best 12 weeks of his life. So he has a policy that no one can start until after then. So while it may be hard to make ends meet until then, well, I'm going to have to work 6 days starting in the fall.
6 days a week?
It's gonna suck.
I'm kidding. You know, at Gold Star we only work 5 days a week, and go 2 years without any accidents. If you wanted, I could ask my dad if we have any job openings. Rome was always hiring. It wouldn't be too hard to set you up.
You would do that?
I know we just met, but you seem really nice. Well, I mean, hell, I've had a sister for 14 years, and she and I have never had a conversation as deep as this. I want to help you care for your family. So you have to.
You don't know how much I appreciate that. So, do you want to go rejoin the party? The ceremony must be starting soon.
I'm liking hanging out with you. Let them wait. It's not like they can start without us, right?
Right.
End of scene. Scene 5. What's come over you, June? Are you nervous?
To meet every boy my age in town for the first time in my life, and then to have that stranger and he and I are going to... Yes, I'm nervous. I don't know if I'm ready for it. If I want to do it, I don't even know how to talk to them. And you know, it's just hitting me how young everyone in fairy tales is. Like, Snow White was what, 14? And Rapunzel couldn't have been that much older when she met her prince. And were they ready then? And then they got their princes and they went to a quiet corner of the garden. And I don't know if I want to go through with it, Mama. Could I wait a year? Could I wait the season out?
Oh, honey, you know that's not how it works.
Why did it have to be like this?
What do you mean?
The ceremony, the white dresses, the big fuss.
Sweetheart, it's tradition. Before having traditional ceremonies, it was nearly impossible to tell who was matched up with who. You know, they used to have schools where every child would meet in the same room every day when they were small. It was chaos. After the rose ceremonies were established, it became much easier to understand what the roses were trying to tell us.
And what are they trying to tell us?
It's a sign, a signal of your feelings.
What's the point of them giving us a sign if we're supposed to know who we're going to love just by looking at them at first sight?
Well, that may be the case most of the time, but it's not like that for everyone. The traditional blossoming process is good, but it's not perfect. Because relationships are made up of people, and people aren't perfect. You know, I didn't think of your father in the same way that he thought of me at the beginning. But I did fall in love with him. We went through all the right channels and still met all the people that we needed
There's
to.
so many people here, so many people. Like, what if it's a disaster and everyone here witnesses me realize that the person who's going to be the love of my life is some hideous, boring psychopath?
What happened to I'll love him no matter what?
Well, that was before I found the very real possibility that I'm going to be paired up with Frankenstein's monster. And then I'm going to have to... How can I stand being around him long enough to learn to love him then? Like, especially if he wants me to...
It's very normal to be overwhelmed, dear.
The roses couldn't do that to me. It would be wrong.
The roses are never wrong. It might feel like that at the beginning, but we have our traditions for a reason. One way or another, you'll find your perfect match, and I can confirm from meeting several of the boys personally that none of them look like they've been built by spare parts. Today, you'll meet him, and then one day, a couple years down the road, you'll get married and have a family of your own. That's what you want, right? Eyes on the prize, dear. It's stressful, and some girls do find it humiliating to be put on such a pedestal. It's not a perfect process, dear. But at the end of the day, you'll begin your journey to love.
It's a big step. It's a lot to take in.
It's never going to feel like the right time. We can only focus on right now, okay? We can't control what's going to happen.
Because the roses choose for us?
We don't question how the roses work, dear. Just take a deep breath and go get in line for your ceremony.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what to do.
You know what happens, darling. You're going to go in there, say hello, and introduce yourself to each young man, one by one. I know you're going to be nervous and want to look away, but make sure you look him in the eye, allow him to kiss your hand, and when you come out, we'll know who it is. Simple as that, darling, right? You've witnessed this every year since you walk. You're just the one walking this time.
It's about time to get started. Burgesses, cousins, uncles, aunts, can you please take your place next to your assigned rose plots? Thank you. Everyone have a watch to mark the time? Good, good. As always, we start in alphabetical order, which means that the first young lady to go will be my daughter, June Burgess. I'm dead, Peach.
Did she have to go first?
We always go in alphabetical order.
She's terrified, Harlan. This is the biggest life event she's ever had to endure, and she can't even see anybody else go first.
What difference would it make? Her rose is going to open for who it'll open for, no matter what. It'll be good for her to get it over with.
I guess it wouldn't cause any difference in the results. But are you sure we couldn't?
Don't feel guilty just because you couldn't console her, Marion. That's just how teenage girls are with their mothers.
Has it begun opening yet?
Not yet.
Well, she's almost halfway through the introduction.
I'll let you know when it happens.
Has it happened yet?
Not quite yet.
Well, she's almost.
It could be the very last boy.
Well, it had better be. She's at the last boy.
She's on the last one.
Yes. She's leaving now. Has it?
No, it hasn't. Should have opened by now.
Harlan, what do we do? I haven't seen anything like this happen before.
Harlan!
Coming. Forget that. Don't say anything to June, all right? We need to figure this out before you worry her.
Well,
How was it?
I was so nervous, but I did everything I was supposed to do.
I'm sure you did everything right, dear. I'm sure you did.
Do they have the results yet?
Oh, you know they can't announce anything like that until after everyone's gone.
Right, right. You know what? I feel so much better now. I don't know what I was worried about.
That's good, dear. Say, why don't you go talk to the other girls? I'm sure your new friends could use someone to talk to while waiting for their results.
Okay, it looks like we may have a match for Peach. We've got a Blossom Rose without a partner identified on the east side.
You think that's June's match?
The time's a little off with when June went for the ceremony, but one of the cousins was watching it, and my uncle just dragged him to me. He's drunk as a skunk, but the time's close enough. It'll have to do. Has it opened yet?
It hasn't. What are we gonna tell her?
I know something like this happened once before, but the rose was just late. But it didn't take long. It was when I was 6 or 7.
So, it has to have happened before then, right? Or something similar.
I don't know.
It has to have, and I bet it's in the history somewhere. Somebody has to have evidence of late or unblossomed roses. Letters, notes, something. If you give me the key to the file cabinets, I'll look through everything.
I should do it. I'll go.
Harlan, how would it look if the head of the Burgess family disappeared in the middle of the most important day of the year? Nobody will miss me. Let me go.
He pulls the key out of his pocket.
Okay, but you know if anybody gets access to the family secret.
Chaos, destruction, etc. I know.
Wait, before you go, we should probably tell Peach. The match parents are going to be announced soon.
You're right. She deserves to know what's going on.
Do you want me to get her?
No, she'll know something's wrong if you pull her over. If it's me, she'll just think that her mother is meddling in her social life again. I can live with that. June, honey, can you come here for a second?
What is it, Mom? Is something wrong?
Before official pairings are announced, your father and I need to talk to you about something.
And this may sound a little worrying, but just stay calm. Right, Peach? Your rose hasn't blossomed.
What?
And I know this may be shocking, but Peach, just
What do you mean it hasn't blossomed? It was supposed to open when I met... Oh my god, it didn't open.
Look at me, it just hasn't opened yet. Sweetheart, it could just be a little late.
Late? Have roses ever been late before?
yes.
But...
It hasn't happened since I was a little boy. Certainly not since I started taking care of the roses personally. Luckily, we think we figured out who it'll be based on which boy's rose blossomed at that time. We just wanted to let you know.
You think? You're not sure?
There's no way to know for sure unless your rose confirms the match. But we timed the openings for a reason, so this must have happened a few more times in my mother's era, or before that, even.
But how long was the delay when the rose opened when you were a little boy?
That doesn't matter,
A
June.
minute and a half.
Oh my god.
She deserves to know. It's been far longer than that now. In all honesty, Peach, I've never seen anything like this before. That's why I'm being so honest with you right now. Since this hasn't happened before, we don't know exactly how it's going to play out. Since it's your match, you need to be a part of this process that we're having to go through as a family. And I know all of this is a lot to take in, but we wouldn't have told you if we thought you couldn't handle it.
I can't handle it. I'm just a kid.
You've got to try and stay relaxed, dearest. Take a deep breath.
That's right. Now we need you to keep this quiet until we've got it all sorted out. We wouldn't want doubt to be cast on the family's ability to interpret the rose's patterns.
What? You just said you were being honest with me, and now I have to lie to others.
It's part of the job. All the information on the rose is confidential, remember? Part of setting the precedent is thinking through how we're going to deal with this new thing before we decide if and when to inform the public. And we just haven't had that time yet. Now, I know it's unfair for us to ask.
Unfair? It's not unfair, it's mean. I have to walk around pretending like my rose has blossomed and I'm in love when I'm not. Act like my world hasn't just been turned upside down. That's cruel.
I'm sorry, Peach. But it'll only be for a little while we figure things out. Okay?
If a rose has been late before, it could be again. We just need a little time, sweetheart. All right?
For the family, what do you expect me to do?
Just go on your courtship date with the boy we tell you to, and I'm sure that your rose will open and everything will be all right. Right, Harlan?
Right. It'll sort itself out. Now, we're going to go announce the pairings. Look excited. Right, Beach? Or at least normal. Not upset. Can you do that for me?
Can I have a second?
Are you feeling a little better now? If I go announce the match pairings, will you be all right? That's my girl. We'll get through this, okay? Promise.
Deep breaths, June. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Slow.
End of scene. Thank you, everyone. We'll be taking a 10-minute intermission.
exciting. We had another beautiful rose ceremony, and after comparing blossoming times and determining names, I'm proud to announce this year's match pairings. In no particular order, we have Anna Forrest with Tom Densmore, Margaret Redwood with Eli Jacobs, Ava Whittle with Joseph Manning, Helen Richards with Mark Roderson, and June Burgess with Will Thompson. Now that you've all got your match pairings, if the gentlemen will come over here to receive your first courtship date baskets, you and your partner may go and find a place in the garden to sit down and get to know each other better. I'll be back here in an hour and a half.
Will approaches June with a basket.
So, should we take a walk?
Sure.
I bet you know all the good spots in here to hide away since you live here.
I'd prefer if we stay near the front, near some other. If you don't mind. Don't want it to get too quiet or secluded out here.
No, that's fine. What's up with this basket, huh? I came to my brother's ceremony last year, and I asked what was in it, but he wouldn't tell me.
It's mostly things to eat, so we can stuff our mouths instead of dealing with awkward silence. It's the same every year.
Cool.
What's your brother's name?
Danny.
Oh, is he tall, dark, curly hair?
Yeah, I tell him it kind of looks like a mom. He doesn't like that one very much.
It's his match. The redhead, real slender. She's really pretty.
Yep. So, we've got to see what's in the basket, right? Okay. Cheese and crackers. All right. Grapes. Pretzels. That's, fun. Ooh, look, soft caramels. Perfect for chewing while avoiding conversation. Chess set?
Chess gives you a reason to sit in silence. If you're silent while playing chess, then it's not because you're bored with your partner, but because you're thinking of your next move. Very clever.
I don't know how to play.
Well, I played a lot when I was younger. My dad and I would have a chess tournament every Sunday afternoon while my mom was cooking the roast. Loser had to wash the dishes.
Sounds fun. I wish I had fun doing traditions.
You could play with me. Dad's usually too busy to play chess these days, so I'm bored every Sunday.
You teach me?
Yeah, I would. Oh, but you missed the best part of the basket. It's at the bottom.
Will pulls out some cards.
What are these? Questions?
Yep, icebreakers. They're in the baskets for every courtship date, actually. They're there, again, in case there's a lull in the conversation.
Are they all different? That must be a lot of questions. Twice a week for 12 weeks of the courtship summer and 10 questions? That's what, 240 questions?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, then we should use them, right? Not let them go to waste.
I guess. But you read first and we'll both answer.
Okay. How many people are in your immediate family?
I've got 3, just me, my mom, and dad, but the extended family is a lot bigger, as you might have guessed from the abundance of rose watchers at the ceremony. You?
I've got 10. No, 9 in the immediate family.
Wow, 7 kids.
8, actually. 1 parent.
Oh, I'm sorry. Your dad?
Yes. Oh, wait, did you mean the dead parent or the alive parent?
Alive parent?
Oh, no, that's my mom.
Sorry. If you could have any animal as a pet, what animal would you have?
I think having a seahorse would be fun. Especially if they were life-size and you could ride around them.
You know, their males are the ones that give birth.
That's unusual, for sure. But I kind of like that about them.
I think peacocks are really pretty, and I heard they make good guard animals, so I guess a peacock.
Oh, so you like pretty boys then. Yeah, peacocks are the prettier ones.
I mean, true, but they're flashier.
Okay, next question. If you could look into a crystal ball and it could tell you the truth about one thing in your life or your future, what would it be?
I don't know if I can answer that, honestly.
Yeah, it feels a little weird thinking about the future right now.
It's weird thinking about what's happening right now.
I guess it is weird that I'm out here sitting next to my future wife. What? Wife? But that's what happens when you match with someone, right? You're going to marry them. That's what always happens.
I really don't want to be thinking about this right now.
I mean, we're gonna have to start getting used to saying it eventually. Even if it doesn't feel right, we're going to get married.
I wouldn't plan on that.
What did you say?
Oh, no, I shouldn't have said that. Just forget it.
Forget it. Are you against marriage or something?
No, I can't say.
You can't.
It's a secret. I'm really not supposed to, but I wish I could.
Oh, you want to tell me.
Well, I want to tell somebody, not necessarily you, but I can't.
But you can't. Is it something big? Something important? Does it have to do with me? Wait, actually, I was kind of joking, but if this seems about me, then you have to tell me.
Well, it's not really, kind of, I mean, it's complicated.
Wait, do you know about...
Wait, do you know about?
I don't know if you know what I know.
Well, I don't think you could know what I know. It's a family secret.
Like a rose thing? Well, you and I are going to be family now, so you might as well just go ahead and...
You know what? No. It's insane. And I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but I can't keep acting this normal, and I don't think I'm supposed to be in love with you.
Really?
No.
Thank God!
What do you mean, thank God?
No, I'm sorry. I just meant that's such relief. I don't think I'm supposed to be in love with you either.
Oh, wait, how do you know?
It's a feeling. It's complicated.
But your rose blossomed today when you met me.
When I met you. Are you sure?
Well, that's what my dad said. Why?
I don't know. It's just that, I think I might be in love with someone else. It's weird, but this morning I almost didn't come to the ceremony. Jitters, I guess. It didn't feel right to go spend a whole day away from my mom. She hasn't been doing well lately, but when I brought her breakfast, she was so excited for me. I didn't want to let her down, so I came anyway. And then, before the ceremony, I met someone. Out of nowhere, someone called out to me, and I turned around, and before I could even introduce myself, I was lost in these rich green eyes, deep like a thick pine forest, with the prettiest smile I've ever seen. It was like we were already linked together, drawn to one another. The connection was instant, and, well, it was undeniable. And then, well, Tom and I started talking, and...
Tom?
But Tom was matched with Anna, which means that both of their roses blossomed for each other.
Maybe not. I mean, we were matched together, and your rose didn't blossom for me, and my rose...
Wait, your rose didn't open for me either? Oh, who was it? It's okay. You can tell me. Oh, come on, June. I told you my big secret. I get it. I really do. And, well, I'm here to listen and to be understanding. In fact, I may be the only person who understands. I mean, I can't blame you. I've met all of them, and even I could admit that Anna was beautiful.
Anna? Do you think I'm in love with Anna?
Well, it would make sense, wouldn't it? If I was meant to be with him and you were meant to be with her.
Wait, you think my parents deliberately tried to take you away from your match?
Do you see anyone else out there who loves in the same way that we do? Seems to me like your family is hiding people like us.
We are not the same.
Oh, we're not? Then if there's something so wrong about that, then Why don't you explain to me what's going on?
Well, I didn't mean it like that. It's just that, well, there's nothing wrong with... You know, I almost wish I had, because then I'd at least... My rose didn't blossom for Anna. It didn't blossom at all.
Oh, I didn't know that could happen.
I don't think it's supposed to, but then again, I've never heard of anything like you happening either. Anything unrequited.
You think he doesn't feel the same way about me?
Well, if somehow all three of your roses opened, then either he doesn't like you or he doesn't like her.
And you think he's going to choose her?
I've never seen anything else. But then again, even having 3 roses in the case of one match isn't anything I've ever seen before.
For the girl who's supposed to know everything about the roses, you sure do seem to be surprised at a lot of stuff.
I'm beginning to think I don't know as much about the roses as I thought I did.
It doesn't help that your dad lied, saying that my rose has blossomed for you. If he lied about something as big as that, who knows what else he might have lied about?
I don't know that he lied. He's usually so open with me. He made a point of telling me about my rose, which he didn't have to do. He's not perfect, but...
I don't know if I agree with you on that. But he may be my father-in-law later if we still have to go through with this, so...
The way you feel about Tom, you don't feel anything like that towards me.
It'd make things a lot easier if I did. I presume you don't feel that same way about me either.
I mean, when I look at you, I don't feel anything. I feel comfortable. Is that the same? Okay, so how do you get to feel that way? Is there something I could do to feel that way?
Like what?
I don't know. Eat something, solve a puzzle, lucid dream.
I don't think that's how it works.
Do you think Tom's beautiful?
Like the North Star. No matter where he is, my eye is drawn to him. His sparkle. Almost like I know he could guide me home. Honestly, I had to stop myself from staring.
Define sparkle.
If you have to ask, you haven't felt it. So, your rose didn't open, and you're not in love with me, or anybody else for that matter. Does that mean you're not going to fall in love with anybody at all?
I hadn't even thought of that. It's all been such a blur, honestly. Do you think that's what it means, that I'm never going to fall in love with anyone?
I mean, maybe.
That can't be true. No, I'm supposed to fall in love with someone. That's what everybody does. I was going to grow up and get married and have a couple kids and a white picket fence, and that can't be. That's not fair. That's not what's supposed to happen. That's not fair. Why would they do that to me?
Dude! Calm down. I know you want to freak out, and you deserve to, but the others are going to hear.
I'm sorry. It's just, do you think that's true?
If it makes any difference, I think not ever loving anyone might be better than loving someone and knowing that you can't be with them. Because that feeling, it sucks.
But what if Tom feels the same way you feel? You could be together then.
But you said it was unrequited.
I said someone's unrequited. If your connection is as strong as you say it is, then maybe you and Tom are supposed to be together.
I don't know. My match has been decided, and so is his.
But don't you want to talk to him? Tell him how you feel?
Tell him I love him. I wouldn't even know how. You don't just tell people that you love them. In my family, if you love someone, you just smile at them and they know. Give them a pat on the back, help them do the dishes. You don't say it, it's understood. The Thompsons have been doing it that way for generations.
Wait, Thompson? Like Sage Thompson?
That's my mother. Do you know something about her? Is it her rose? Is it dying?
No, I don't know anything.
You're lying!
I'm not supposed to say.
But you tell me if it was something good, right? Right.
Wait, Will, I don't think you should hide your feelings. Do you tell your mother that you love her? You should start. And I think you should tell Tom too.
I can't. How would I even talk to him? He's on a date with Anna.
I can handle Anna. Don't you want to know if he feels the same way? Okay, look, this morning, he came into my dad's office before before the ceremony, asking all sorts of questions about the roses, and whether if we choose who we love or if they choose for us, and maybe he knew, somehow, that something like this might happen. If this is some sort of big mix-up and Anna doesn't feel anything towards Tom, then there's nothing stopping you from being together.
Yeah, I guess I would like to talk to him.
Okay. And Will, you're lucky to love anyone at all. You better fight for it.
End of scene. Scene 7.
So you like studying biology? Does that mean you experiment on mice in your free time?
Well, not really. I can't get into a real scientific program until I'm older, and only if I'm lucky, so I mostly just look at the frogs in the pond and what's near my house. So far I've counted at least 4 different types.
Anything poisonous?
I hope not. I pick them up all the time.
Do you have a favorite?
I found a big green one once, but I couldn't ever get to where I found it again. It's really easy to get lost out there.
Don't you use a compass?
I don't have one. Good compasses are expensive.
Well, if you don't have one, you can borrow mine.
He pulls a compass out of his pocket and hands it to him.
Here.
Tom, I couldn't. It's too late.
We're family now. Right. Can't have you getting lost on the way to our courtship dates. Just make sure you get back to me before the weekend. My dad will be super upset if I can't navigate with you go hiking.
Psst, Hannah, come here.
Give me 1 second.
What's that? A batch of lavender shortbread cookies just got out of the oven. Come on, you gotta go get them while they're still hot.
But I'm on my courtship date, and aren't you supposed to be on yours?
Yeah, I'll see him again. But I may not get another opportunity to have one of Nana's cookies warm. They're just so soft and buttery and light and perfect with lemonade. Honestly, once they're cool, they're not half as good as they are warm. Come on.
I can't leave Tom. I'm just getting to know him.
Oh, well, you must not have heard. It's common during the first courtship date for the girls to leave together. Momentarily and without explanation. So it's to see how the guys react. Very strong indicator of what they'll be like when you're married.
I've never heard of that.
It's secret. A secret ritual. In fact, it's tradition. Really leaves an air of mystery in the relationship and amps up the tension. So we should go.
Really? That's the thing?
Yeah. I mean, would the daughter of the rose keepers lie to you? You don't get a formal double date until 3 weeks in. How do you think all the girls come to be friends before that?
Okay, if that's what the tradition says I have to do. 5 minutes?
I can make that work.
I have to go do something, Tom. I'll be back in a minute.
Tom?
Oh, well. Sorry, you spooked me. Are you okay?
Did you mean it? About that job?
Every word.
Give it to my brother. Danny needs it more than me. I need him to be safe.
But what about you? What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I think I just got some bad news, so I've got to deal with that.
So sorry.
Hey, can I ask you a personal question? Were you really going to run away this morning?
Honestly, I was thinking about it.
Why?
Just scared of the future, I guess. Just the other day, my dad was talking to me about what it'd be like when he passed on Gold Star to me and how it'd feel for me to raise strong sons who would keep the family legacy intact. And it sounded so soon. Soon you will be raising kids. Hell, I still feel like a kid. It all feels like it's going by too fast. So I stuffed my pockets full of cookies and was going to walk.
What stopped you?
I don't know. I made it all the way to the edge of the garden, and then I guess I we start talking and I don't know.
Do you wish you had run away?
I can't think like that right now. I just got matched with Anna, we've got summer coming up.
What if I told you that your match was wrong? That you were supposed to be with someone else?
Did June give you inside information?
Do you love Anna?
I only just met her.
Do you like her? Like, really like her, and nobody else?
I don't know why you're asking me that.
Have you ever met someone, and the first moment you looked at them, you just knew?
Knew what?
That you wanted to be with them. Like, until you're both old and wrinkly and need help brushing your teeth.
I'm glad you can't go along with June, but
It's not June. It's someone else.
someone else.
Yes, someone else I met today.
I should probably go find Anna.
Don't you want to know who it is?
It's not my business.
But it is.
If you don't like June, go talk to him.
I like you! I didn't mean for it to come out like that. I had so much planned that I wanted to say. I was trying to tell you that my rose had already blossomed when I met June. And it didn't feel like I thought being in love with someone would feel like. But maybe I wouldn't have thought that if not for the fact that my stomach flipped when I saw you. And not in a, like, I'm going to throw up kind of way. In a, maybe this is destiny kind of way. Destiny. Right? Right. When I met you, it feels silly, but I knew right then that I liked you. Liked you, like, a lot, like, in a stupid way where I wanted to plan picnics at sunset and meet your parents and stare into your eyes until we both fall asleep. And I didn't want to say anything because of Anna, but it felt like you might also feel that way. So June told me that I should tell you. I'm sorry. I like you in a crazy way that I can't control, and I don't even know if it's good or right, but I don't care. I like you.
I don't know what to say.
You don't have to tell me you don't have feelings for me. I mean, you probably don't, because why would you? I can't even finish a sentence most times without, and my dad's dead, and my mom, but you don't get to choose what happens to you with stuff like that. And right now, I can see you trying to choose how to let me down, and I don't need you to be gentle with me. If you don't feel any type of love towards me, just tell me. Just do it quick, take me out of my misery.
I do have feelings for you. We've got a connection. But for me, that feeling is same type of fluttering, but it hurts too. Love, it doesn't taste right.
Do you feel that way about Anna? That connection?
I don't think so, but I don't know if that means that I couldn't have that kind of feeling for her.
You won't.
You don't know that.
You don't have to hide how you feel.
I don't want to hide, but
You're scared.
of course I'm scared. That word isn't a happy one in my house. My parents have talk about love like it's some sort of old god that deserves immense reverence, and then they turn around and spew vile insults at each other at every opportunity. If what they have is love, I don't want it.
It doesn't have to be that
I
way.
don't know what else it would look like.
Doesn't it feel lucky that we could feel like this? That we met at the exact right moment there at the edge of the garden? Do you want to know why I was there this morning? I was looking for my mother's rose to see what condition it's in. It's dying. And you know what? The moment before I could see that, there you were. And just joking around and talking with you made me happier than I've been in a long time. You distracted me just long enough so that I could have one last afternoon without knowing about my mother. That's lucky.
Maybe. But it couldn't work. Yeah.
Says who?
Nobody in town would accept it.
But our roses confirmed it. They have to.
Regardless of how I may feel about you, we can't do this. Will, not here.
We could leave. Run away just like you wanted. I have an aunt on the coast. We could leave tonight.
No! Are you crazy? Will, you just found out your mother is dying. You're in shock. You're not making straight.
I deserve to be happy. I've lost too much already. Please.
I'm sorry that has happened, Will, but my match has been set.
Did you know this would happen? June told me you came in this morning asking about the roses and whether we choose or they do.
No. I didn't know. My parents. I wanted to know if I ended up like them, if it was because I made the wrong choice.
And the right choice is to be with the person you care about. Tom, if you don't love
I
her...
could someday. I could learn.
Your parents probably thought the same thing when they were matched.
And I make sense. I'm going to have to take over the business from my dad one day, and I need to be taken seriously.
And you wouldn't be taken seriously with me.
No! There's never been a case of two guys being matched before.
That doesn't mean that there aren't people out there like us.
And even if it wasn't official, you know how people talk. I can't have my father's legacy crumble because of decisions in my personal life.
So you would rather be successful than happy.
And what about kids? We can never have kids together. And then who would take over Gold Star when I get old?
We could always adopt.
Stop this! I can't do this right now. You know what? I just want to be 16 for the rest of today. I don't want to be worried about the distant future. I just want to go to back to my courtship date and talk about proms. Can I do that?
Tom.
You need to leave. And we'll be passing.
End of scene. Scene 8.
These are better
Told you. Are they worth losing a couple minutes of your date?
You know, I do need a little break. I'm so nervous out there. It's nice to breathe again.
How's that going with Tom?
He's really sweet. I like him a lot.
Yeah? Is Prince Charming everything you imagined?
I mean, no. But a laundry list of wishes can't compare to having a real perfect guy right in front of you. Now, Prince Charming only looks like Tom to me.
Have they told you about his family?
Oh, I know about the Densmores. My dad works in the Gold Star Molasses refinery. He's always bringing jars home.
So you must be really happy then. About the money.
Excuse me?
Well, I mean, he's rich. The heir to a big business. You'll be able to kick your feet up for the rest of your life if you want to. Your father probably could too. You won't have to worry about money ever again.
I mean, that's the luck of the draw, I guess, but I'm in it for love, not for money.
Do you think you love him?
I mean, it feels a little early to say, but it's odd. I think I can feel it already. Even though we only just met, it feels like I'm missing something. Being apart from him, I should get back.
Wait, have some lemonade to wash it down. What do you mean when you say you can feel it?
Feeling, it's everywhere. My stomach flips and my head's kind of fuzzy, like I'm just waking up from a dream.
And that feeling, did it make you want to kiss him and do the stuff your brothers talked about?
Yeah, but I'm waiting for him to make the first move. But I'm less nervous for it, more excited that I get to kiss him.
What's that feel like?
I can't really describe that.
Oh, come on, we're friends, aren't we?
We're friends, but
Then you can tell me. Where do you feel that feeling?
no, I don't want to answer that. I need to get back to my
No, stay.
Are you trying to keep me from him or something?
What? I'm trying to keep you from him? No, I would never.
Are you kidding me? I can't believe I listened to you. I should be on a date right now, falling in love with the man of my dreams. Miss Burgess!
Wait, don't. Anna, I'm sorry. Let's just talk talk.
Stop being weird. Burgess!
June exits, and then re-enters in the garden and stumbles upon Will.
Will, what happened?
I told him. Thanks for the advice, by the way.
Did Tom say that he doesn't feel the same?
Worse, he has feelings for me, but he said he can't be with me.
What?
He said that he and Anna make sense, and that he would rather preserve his reputation than be happy and in love with me. I don't know if I can take it.
Will, look at me. Take a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Slow. Okay, listen to me. We are going to get through this, okay? Because regardless of whether either of us might have wanted, we're in this together now. We're a team. So I won't leave you. So let's stuff our mouths full of grapes and cookies and caramels and talk it through, okay? Can you handle that right now?
I can handle it.
Okay, then let's...
June!
Is that your mom?
I didn't think you'd find me this fast.
June!
If we hide here, we can...
June Gloria Burgess!
You pulled out the full name. That means I'm really in trouble. I'll be back soon, okay? Coming!
There you are, June. May I have a word with you? In private?
Do I get the option?
No, you don't. June, Anna told me that you're sabotaging her date.
I was just trying to talk to her.
Yes. She said you asked her some very uncomfortable questions. Did you do that?
I didn't mean to make her feel uncomfortable.
Why did you do that?
I just wanted to know what it felt like to love someone. Because my nose hasn't opened and I don't even know whether or not I'm messed up or if I did something wrong because I don't know what it's supposed to feel like.
Sweetheart, what could you have possibly done wrong?
I thought maybe they were mad at me. Or maybe I'd been cursed. Maybe I disrespected them.
Disrespected
Or
them?
maybe they thought I read too many books about princes, which made my standards too high, and so now they're punishing me. I mean, I'm always in the garden reading when I should be checking on blossom statuses, and maybe they know, and so...
Darling, the roses aren't punishing you for that. If reading is a crime, well, your Aunt Clara would have never made it past her rose ceremony. My goodness, when she was your age, she would read like some adult men drink. Well into the night, with no concern for the next day's events. That's no reason for you to be cursed or punished.
I'm not so sure about that. Aunt Clara, how many years ago did her husband die?
Oh, that was 6 or 7 years ago. Why do you ask?
I never told you, but I saw her in the garden a few weeks after he passed. She was sobbing, and I expected that, but she wasn't sobbing in front of the dead roses, like widows usually do. She was sobbing in front of a live rose, one in particular. It was white, and she was pleading with it, asking it why. Why did it have to do this to her, and why did it have to make her hurt so much? And so I assumed the blossom was hers, and in that moment, I wanted nothing more than to help her get rid of those awful feelings that love had caused her. So when she left, I wrenched the blossom from the stem, and I could feel the little thorns digging into my palms. And I watched the petals fall apart in my hands and drift to the ground, and I realized what I had done. I thought I had just solved the problem by getting rid of her love for my uncle, but I had committed sacrilege, and so I think there's a very real possibility that I've been cursed by them to never love someone myself because I took away someone else's.
I knew that you did that.
You did?
Do you think when I bandaged your hand that day that I didn't recognize the pattern of the cuts, even though you said it was because you tripped and fell? That when we found the blossom demolished the next day, I didn't realize? I didn't say anything because I felt guilty for having told her where it was. It's supposed to be a secret, after all. I only knew because I was married to your father, so it's not your fault. If that incident is anyone's fault, it's mine, and I won't hear another word on it.
But Mom...
No, darling. You can't have altered your Aunt Clara's ability to love, because loving someone isn't something that can simply be turned on. Loving isn't just reserved for your spouse. It's not that simple. It's not one thing. It's like many, all happening at once.
You really believe that?
Of course I do. You know, I've found over the years that loving your father is very similar to many other things that I love.
chocolate cake, or Nana's always reliable shortbread cookie recipe. Sweet and satisfying. And sometimes it's like curling up in a blanket on a cold night, or the thrill of finding money in a jacket pocket. And sometimes it's like fireworks, and sometimes it's like listening to the rain, or reading a book while nestled into a comfy chair. Every once in a while, it's like seeing the first fireflies in summer and catching them in your hands. Often it feels like coming home after a long trip. And those are all things that I love. But I wouldn't want those things to be in my life the same way that I want your father to be in my life. And the things you love may be different, but that's okay. You can think of some things that you love or feelings that you love, can't you? Even if you never feel that precise way about someone romantically, there's no doubt in my mind that you will find someone who's just what you needed, and who you're comfortable with, and who's always there. Even if that person is you.
What if I'm broken and my rose doesn't work at all? What if it never opens?
Honey, no. You're not broken. I was debating whether I should tell you this, but while your father's been hosting the party, I looked through your grandfather's old file cabinet, historical records, stuff like that, and I found that, well, dear, my rose didn't bloom at the same time as your father's. And it makes sense. I didn't have the same sort of strong feelings that your father did when we met. I knew that. I thought he was cute, and I remember being nervous, but I was also talking to a boy my age for the very first time. But I didn't feel how your father did. Yes, things were a bit uneven at the start, of course. Over time, that all changed, and I have no doubt in my mind that he's the person I was meant to be with. My rose didn't bloom until a month after your father's. His father didn't even tell him, only keeping it in his private notes so that everything would seem normal. So there's still hope for you and Will, even if you don't feel anything for him now.
Mom, I don't think it's the same with me and Will. He's got strong feelings, but not for me.
Does he know who these feelings are directed towards?
I don't know if that's my secret to tell.
You don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but I promise that since this has to do with match pairings, I won't tell anyone other than your father, and I don't even have to tell him if you don't want me to.
You promise it won't be a big deal.
Promise.
Will's no match. Well, I mean, he has feelings for... It's a boy.
Oh! Well,
You're freaking out. I knew I should have told you.
No, I'm not freaking out. I was just trying to process what you told me, because that answer was not at all what I expected. That doesn't mean I'm placing a judgment or thinking that there's something wrong with that, just absorbing information.
So you don't think there's anything wrong with Will blossoming for a boy?
No. We are learning a lot about the blossoming process today, and I would much rather see him match the person that he cares about, no matter what that looks like for him. Though, that does make our situation a little more complicated. Which boy was it? Was it Anna's match?
That's why Will and I planned to interfere with Anna's date in the first place, to get her away from Tom so he and Will could talk, so I could find out if she felt the same way that he does.
And?
She does. She's infatuated. How does that work?
I think that love is a lot more complicated than we give credit, especially considering some of the things your grandfather covered up.
Have you told Dad yet about your rose being late?
How could I? He thought the world of his father. He'd start to question everything that he knew about the roses.
But grandfather may have made a lot of people unhappy by putting them with someone they weren't meant to love. Just think about Will and Tom possibly being separated because of my weird rose.
That's true. But we should talk to those boys.
Is everything all right? I was just coming in to say that the party's winding down. Most of the families are heading out.
In that case, June, dear, why don't you see if you can grab those boys before they leave? Your dad might need to have a talk.
What's going on? Is Peach upset about her rose?
Yeah, but I think she felt a little better when she realized she's not the only one this has happened to. In fact, well, Carlin, I really don't know how to tell you this, and you probably don't want to hear it, but when I looked
I want to hear that. That's good news, Marion. It means Peach isn't some anomaly. I just don't remember my father saying anything about stuff like that.
It's because he didn't. He didn't say anything about it publicly. I don't even know if your mother knew. I know it might be difficult to hear this, Harlan, but when I dug deep into the files, I found out that your father routinely manipulated matches to hide the fact that the blossoming process wasn't perfect. He thought it made the family look less credible.
You know that can't be true.
There was an instance of an uneven number of blossoms every few years, but every unblossomed rose would still leave with a match that wasn't meant for them. You may not want to believe it, Harlan, but it's all in the records. I can show
I know
you.
you never liked my father, Marion, but this is going too far. Accusing him of forging matches, do you realize how terrible that would be? That's not just treasonous, Marion, it's...
He did it to us. You and me. We're one of the matches he forged.
Now you've taken it a step too far. First you accuse my father, then you say our love is a lie. No, I've got to get him before you say anything else.
Will you believe it if you read it in his handwriting?
Marion opens a journal and holds it up.
Your father had a list of what he called imperfect matches in the back of his journal, organized by year. Look, we're on it. He even wrote about it on the day your rose blossomed. Look, read it.
June 6th. Harlan's rose blossomed today. He says it's the little girl at the general store, Marion Banks. But her rose definitely hasn't blossomed. It would break his heart to know she doesn't feel the same way. But my boy is happy, and that's all that matters. For now, we'll proceed as though they're a match, and I will monitor her rose for progress. You didn't love me.
That doesn't matter now.
Are you kidding? It changes everything. What does that mean for us? I mean, Marion, our whole relationship is built on a lie.
We can't change the past, or what your father did. After all these years of being happy together, if you want to doubt that I love you now, be my guest. But I do. I may not have loved you at the very moment that I met you, but I have loved you for coming up on 20 years now, Harlan Burgess. I have lived longer loving you than I've lived without you, and I wouldn't trade a second of our being together for anything.
Not even on the honeymoon, when we went down to the coast and you got food poisoning from that crab bisque.
Not even that.
All right, maybe you do love me. But what do we do now? I've been working as hard as I can to live up to my father's legacy, and now I find out his legacy is full of dirty secrets and things swept under the rug. Do I just give up? If I openly admit that he was lying and matched a bunch of people who didn't belong together, the people will lose all faith in the blossoming process and the family's ability to determine matches. But if I continue trying to cover up for him, then I'm no better than he was. If I try and change things now without admitting that he lied, then the people will think that I'm not living up to the Burgess name by allowing mismatches to happen.
I know this is difficult, but I think you have to come clean.
Do I? Is it that simple?
Nothing about this is simple, but it's the right thing to do. There may be people that doubt us after this, but wouldn't you feel happier knowing that you were at least being honest? If you get into the habit of lying now, who knows? A few years down the road, you might start thinking your father's methods weren't so bad. It's easier, after all, to deny imperfect matches exist. And then what? You might even start doing more reckless things like taking bribes for high-class matches. And I know you. You don't have the heart to do that. Face it, Harlan. Coming clean is the only option. You know that.
Yeah, I do. I just feel sorry for all those people who've been stuck in relationships just because they feel like they needed to. I mean, it worked out for us, but there's got to be so many miserable people out there. They're going to feel like the Burgess has cheated them out of years of their lives.
But then they can leave. Move on, completely guilt-free. We can probably even realign some of those matches from back in the day.
Oh, and what about Peach? What am I going to tell her? I was about to fall prey to the same habits my father did if she hadn't said anything.
But she did.
Do we know which one is the true match?
It's either a girl or a boy.
Boy. Then it's simple. Two boys have never been matched before, so...
I don't think that it is that simple. I don't think that any of this is as simple as you were led to believe.
But traditionally, boys have only been matched with girls.
I believe in tradition too, but it's not perfect. Can't we admit that? After the day that we've had, we don't know how he's feeling. Even if the boy at the center goes the traditional route and loves the girl, we still have to leave our minds open to other possibilities, ones that haven't seemed like possibilities before. Harlan, you don't have to be in, okay? Just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong.
If he could be as happy as we've been...
Mama, do you have boys? You can bring them in here.
Shouldn't Anna be here?
Does that poor little girl have any idea of what's going on? Yeah, that's what I thought. There's no need to worry her right now.
That's right. It's you three that have tough decisions to make. Fortunately, Tom, a lot of that decision power falls on you. You have to decide how to move forward before the others can. As you've probably figured out, you've got two possible matches. It's not up to me to determine which one might be unrequited. Only you can know that. But I want you to know that before you decide that if you feel a certain way about someone and that relationship looks different than the match you were expecting, that is totally okay. Nothing to be embarrassed about. We all just want you to be happy, okay?
Yes, sir. How will Anna find out what I decide?
Oh, well, I don't know. If you love Anna, it might be a good idea for you to tell her about all of this yourself in your own time. I'd wait on it though, give her some time to get to know you better before telling her. Hearing about your choice could worry her a little. If, however, you'd like to start seeing Will instead, if you want to be with him, well, then I suppose it might be easier for me and Mrs. Burgess to talk to her family and explain everything. But none of the fault will fall on you either way, okay?
And Bella, she'd be single forever because she didn't leave the rose ceremony with a match.
Oh, no, we let her come back to the next rose ceremony, I think. Would we, Marion?
It may be a little more complicated since her rose already opened this year, but complicated will be much more in our real house after this year.
So, Tom, are you ready to make your decision?
Before he decides, if he said that he wanted to continue seeing Anna, where would that leave me in June? Would we still have to keep dating for the courtship summer, or could we still hang out without it being all gross? I still liked hanging out with you, even if it didn't mean anything.
We're a team now, though. Totally platonic team.
If you both have no interest in seeing each other romantically, you can still go on the courtship dates as friends. The activities we set up really are just fun to do, painting, picnic by the lake, that sort of thing. You could skip the flowers or the chocolates or whatever, but you definitely wouldn't have to get married.
Now, Tom, I know this is a lot to take in, but do you have any idea of how you'd like to move forward?
It's your decision. Can I speak to Mr. Burgess alone, please?
Sure. So, what's going on, Tom?
Could I take some time to think about the decision?
I'd like to say yes, but we're in uncharted territory here. If we need to talk to families, I'd like to do so pretty soon. Who's got you all tied up?
Is it really up to me to choose?
I'm afraid so. Normally, we determine match pairings by matching the time of opening for each rosebud, but unfortunately, we don't start the formal watching process until the ceremony begins. And not all rose watchers are made equal, so all we've got to rely on right now is your feelings. Have you got any preference for one or the other?
You mean right now?
Yes, sirree, if this is a love at first sight kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, while I partially experienced love at first sight, I'm beginning to learn that sometimes It isn't always at first sight that people know that sort of thing, deep down.
So if I'm not in love with someone now, I could learn to love them later.
It's possible, but I wouldn't bank on that happening if you've already got feelings for someone, which I think you might, because your rose did open today, Tom.
What's it feel like to fall in love at first sight?
When I saw her, time stood still. Her voice rang like an angel's. It was instant. I knew at that very second I wasn't going to spend another day apart from her. I just knew. I couldn't tell you why.
It all seems so simple before.
No. I used to think that since everyone had a rose in the garden, that love was the only thing in my life that was guaranteed. Apparently love has no guarantees.
What if, when you met your wife, she was different from you? If you knew for a fact that loving her would make your life more difficult?
As a very wise and loving woman once said to me, just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong.
But what if people would talk? If it would have made your family look bad?
It wouldn't have changed a thing. She could have shaved her head and danced with a pigeon in the town square, and it wouldn't have made a lick of difference to me. Because I love her. And eventually she loved me. And that's all that matters. When you find the person you're meant to be with, it's you and them against the world. You get me? So, if you have something like that, it's worth holding on to, no matter the circumstances. You just have to be brave enough to say yes to loving them.
I don't know if I'm that brave.
Hey, all I see is a young man who was brave enough to admit he's got complicated feelings. If you knew right out the gate that you were in love with Anna and that was the end of that, we wouldn't be talking right now. Which means you've either got doubts about your feelings for Anna, or you've got feelings for Will and you're scared of them. Or both. So if you choose to be with Anna and don't address that doubt, it will haunt you for the rest of your life. If you choose to be with Will because you care for him, I can't guarantee that it'll be easy. Sometimes people are hesitant to understand our differences and accept anything that looks new. At the end of the day, I can't choose for you. But whatever you choose, Mrs. Burgess and I will support you and make any necessary arrangements to make sure that everybody understands what's going on. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right now, if you got a pick in mind,
I think so.
would you like to tell me?
You said it's worth it, right? Being with the person you care about?
Every minute of it.
No matter the risk?
No matter the risk.
I think I'm going to choose Will. Mrs. Burgess.
Are you sure? You don't sound confident.
It's not that I don't like Anna, sir. She and I get along fine. It's
Just getting along isn't always enough. Not when you know.
I know.
All right. You should let them know.
Mr. Burgess,
Yes.
so you're gonna talk to Anna's parents now that I'm not matched with her anymore?
Yes, I will.
Could I go with you? Could I tell her I want her to understand everything? That I still like her and that it's not her fault that things turned out this way. I really hope that she and I can still be friends.
I think that'd be a very brave thing to do, Tom. I'll probably head over to their house after dinner if you want to stay.
I like that very much, sir. Sir,
Yes, Tom.
could you also tell my parents for me? Explain it to them.
Of course. Marion, you can bring the kids back in now. Right. Tom and I spoke, and he's decided that he would like to switch his match pairing to Will. Congratulations, son.
What? You chose me.
Yeah.
I didn't think you were... Oh. You chose me.
Yeah. I did.
What about Anna? I thought you said she made sense.
I don't even know if I like her like that. How could I choose her when I already know that I like you?
Come here. Oh, June, we're still friends, right?
You're not going to do that easy, Thompson. Are you still going to play chess with me on Sundays now that we're not a matched pair anymore?
Well, that depends. Do I get to try Miss Burgess's famous Sunday roast?
I think we'll have enough for 4, won't we, Mr. Burgess?
I think so. Maybe even enough for 5.
So you'll come over?
Of course I will.
Well, it's been a very busy day. Why don't we get you 2 boys something to eat so that we can deliver you back to your families before nightfall?
Tom.
Brought you your compass since I'm not going to see you before the day.
Hey. We need to talk.
Tom, do you need any help with... Do you want us to keep dinner warm for you?
Yes, sir. You can.
You coming to dinner, Beach?
I want a little bit. I just want to make roses for a little while.
All right, but don't take too long. You've gone through a lot today. I love you.
Love you too, Dad.
June stands in silence for a moment, then begins looking around for a rose until she finds the right plot.
Plot 6. My rose. Okay, buddy. I got some things to say to you. You probably know all of this already, but I'm starting to realize that I don't love in the same way that others do. Not like Tom and Will. Definitely not like Anna. I don't feel or crave the things that they do. And there's something wrong with that. Right? Is there something wrong with that? Is this what growing up is supposed to be like? Wondering if you're normal and struggling to figure it out? Why don't parents warn us about stuff like that? They warn us about some big things, sure, but something so fundamental as loving someone, how to do it, how it feels like, how could they forget to mention that? Have they already forgotten what it's like not to know? And what does normal even matter anyways? Matching Tom with Anna would have been the normal choice, but it also would have been the wrong one, so who cares what's normal? Loving someone doesn't always mean having that cookie-cutter perfect relationship like I thought it did. It's always felt like Mom and Dad had something like that, something special, but will I ever feel that way about someone? Look at them and be overwhelmed by their sparkle. I really hope so. I really hope that someday I look at someone and it feels the same way as finding a 4-leaf clover, stunned and lucky. But if I don't, I want my life to be full of love. That can't be too difficult, right? I love cookies, good books, sunsets. I have 2 parents that love me, and at least 1 friend, maybe several who care about me. And I have hobbies that make me feel happy and fulfilled. And I live in a beautiful garden, full of life and bright colors. Maybe I'm pretty lucky already. No rabbit's foot or horseshoe required. Yeah, so, rose of mine, if you don't blossom next year, I think I'll be okay. Got that? Good.
End of show. Over here on the TV screen to your left is our wonderful dramaturg, Quinn and Xavier Hernandez. So I'm going to introduce them, and then we'll give the floor to them to give us some rules for engagement for this talkback. So
Quinn Xavier Hernandez is a theater maker currently residing in Atlanta, Georgia. They received their BA in Performing Arts with a minor in Dramatic Writing from Clemson University in May of 2018. They currently serve as working title playwright's Assistant Managing Director. Quinn is also a founding member of the Cultivators, an Atlanta-based new works development organization empowering its member playwrights to create original and impactful works of theater and film. Quinn workshopped their play Death Before Decaf with Furman Theatre's new Play Development Lab MAX program in May of 2021, and we are excited to welcome them back as the Dramaturgy for the New Works Festival.
It's so great to see all of you. Thank you so much for coming out to support New Works and to support university students writing their first plays. I'm just going to go over some quick rules of engagement for this evening. So number 1, raise your hand to speak and we will call on you. Number 2, snap if you agree. This helps us get a sense of how many people are on the same page with a piece of feedback, and it saves space so that we have more time to hear different parts of feedback. Number 3, we want to make sure that we're being constructive and courteous, so make sure that you're giving your feedback in a way that it can be heard. Number 4, we want to avoid using the words like and dislike. These playwrights can't really work to your individual subjective tastes, so we want to make sure that we're giving them feedback that they can work with. Number 5, we want to make sure that we're avoiding suggestions for how to rewrite the play. If you're inspired by something that you saw here tonight, fantastic. Go ahead and write your own play. But we don't want to write anything for these playwrights that have done such an amazing job working this past semester. Number 6, we want to make sure that we're speaking from I, so we always want to speak using I statements and our own experiences. And then number 7, we want to make sure that we are minding the potential gap between intention and impact. So just because we say something doesn't mean that it will necessarily have the impact that we intended it to. All right, so with that all out of the way, I'm going to hand it back over to Emily to guide the talk back. Thank y'all so much.
All right, so we're going to do this in the order that you guys saw the pieces tonight, so we'll start with moving in time. Loni, do you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about how you developed your dance?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I am Loni Covington. I am a senior in communication studies and theater arts double major, and this piece came about, it kind of spurred from a piece that I did in the spring that was about different dance styles, starting from established dance forms to more free-form, experimental dance. And so that kind of inspired me to do this piece that focused on the different decades, and then with the events that happened over the summer with a lot of social issues with race and the Black and brown community. I was inspired to do this work and kind of implement that with the pandemic going on, to kind of use that to kind of create this composition. I had dancers kind of work with me collectively as we allow my vision to come to life. So it was really a fun process.
Awesome. So our first question for you guys is, what resonated with you? So that can be specific images or moments or anything like that. And you can just raise your hands and we'll call on you. Yeah.
Groovy.
The dances and movements that kind of started off in one decade and then worked their way back in throughout the rest of the piece in different ways.
I really felt an emotional build, especially towards the latter two songs.
I feel like I'm portrayed dance as a universal language. Like it can fit many different times and places and cultures, but it can mean one thing throughout those boundaries.
Yeah, dance is a universal language. I really like this pitch.
I really liked how in the second to last song, how there were
I kept going back to that same like mantra, like this too shall pass, and I had to like kind of keep reminding myself of it because it was just like I felt like so much was against me and against us as like college students, and just like trying to find that motivation to keep going, to keep moving, even though it seemed like it was just such a dark period. Was kind of like the way that I was able to lift myself up, and so I decided to kind of carry that through to the end of this piece because I felt like it was such a struggle, and I was trying to really show that through that piece. But then at the end, it's like I understand that even through all of this and the grief, that I will see better days and brighter days in the future.
Yeah. So it seemed like you had a really close and personal connection with the last song that you did. So what feelings inspired that song and that dance?
I feel like, so I did this song last spring for a project for another play, and I did it outside, and so it was really improvisational kind of piece where I kind of just allowed myself to kind of be influenced by nature, and it just felt so surreal to kind of be in a space that I'm not used to dancing in, and then also like the song and the lyrics really kind of like inspired me. And so I think that was something that stuck with me, and I felt like I wasn't done with it yet. It was more to explore with that particular song, and so that kind of is one of the inspirations for why I chose to use it again for this, because it was something that I felt like would not leave me alone. It was like, you have more work here. So that was really inspiring for me, and it just kind of led me on a journey with my dancing, experimenting with different kinds of dance qualities and different styles. So.
All right, thank you, Loni.
When I was first beginning to struggle with the idea of me as an asexual person possibly never having a romantic partner, because that seemed like the worst possible outcome. So I decided to create a fantasy land where that was not the problem. And where it was okay, and that was the reality of it. And I know maybe a lot of other writers in the room will agree, but I use writing a lot of ways to cope and heal and understand myself, so that's really where it came from. And then it blossomed into this, blossomed. into this very beautiful thing, and I'm really proud of it.
So what resonated with you as you watched Peach Blossoms?
Yeah. I appreciate the idea that love is a very complex, multi-layered aspect of life. We often think a lot of romantic love, but there's so many more kinds of love. There's altruistic love, there's friendly love, there's brotherly love. There's also love of ideas and things, and even loving love itself. And I feel like this play did a very good job of doing that.
Yeah, I love looking at you. Many layers.
The progression of maturity in the understanding of love, like as the play went on, it went from like a really naive view to like a more like mature understanding and acceptance, and that really resonated with me.
The phrase just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong.
How love happens differently for other people. For some people, they can experience love at first sight. For others, there's a lot more self-questioning and self-doubt versus how they feel.
I really like how it got away from like the true soulmates trope that every book seems to
Well, that's being 16, right?
I resonated with the final, I guess, speech to herself in the very last scene when she really comes to accept who she is. I feel like that was worded really well. It was a really good way to end the story. Yeah, last one, I think.
I find it interesting that you told a story without really an antagonist, but it was just as entertaining the whole time.
So shifting gears, what questions are you all left with about character, plot, anything like that? Yes,
I guess I have two things, but one was, I guess, more elaboration about the white rose that the and that's what she is. The one that she was speaking to, if that was like someone that she was in love with, like I guess just further elaboration on that. And then the second one was, I guess, how you might feel, I guess, or how you see the future of Anna's story, or if you want to just completely leave that open.
The thing with the section on the white roads is that instead of blaming like death on like the horrible feelings of grief, and the aunt is crying in front of her own rose and blaming the love that she felt for this man as the reason why she feels so terribly. And that's sort of her only outlet, which is why she feels so terribly about it, that she takes matters into her own hands. As for Anna, she can do whatever she wants. She's a straight girl.
Yeah.
This is I'm in it, but the question.
You're allowed to have questions.
Yes. With Harlan being able to like participate in on a Kate's Rose Day ceremony, was that because the rose ceremony is traditionally that day, or because it was 1 month later where Mary's rose had blossomed?
He didn't participate in his rose ceremony. He missed it.
Taking care of him, sorry.
Oh, it was because it was the traditional day. Like that sort of like big symbolic day, sort of like a christening or a first Eucharist or shit like that, you know? Some sort of big symbolic, here you are entering into a new thing. Like Harlan's version of quinceanera, basically. He's a woman now.
Yeah.
So, you've discussed how you started writing this as a way to process the feelings you have about when you're coming to terms with your identity as an asexual person. How do you feel you've grown since the time you started writing this, and how do you feel like, how do you hope to impact other asexual people through this piece?
I've grown an infinite amount since I conceptualized this. It was probably a year before I even tried to write it down the first time, and that was before I even approached this project. I am very happy with the reality that I'm living in and with the life that I have, and there's no partner involved, and I'm totally okay with that, which I would not have been a year ago. So the girl who came up with this story is a very different person than the one that's sitting in front of you now, and I'm very proud of how far she's come.
Yeah. Thank you, Virginia. And thank you, everybody, for coming to the New Works Festival. Those little feedback cards that you all got when you walked in, we would love for you to drop back by the box office with Megan in the treasure chest on your way out. Drive safely. Thanks for coming.